Hi everyone. In this presentation, I will introduce you to Link's supply chain management simulation game. The purpose of this presentation is to position the simulation, to review some starting position conditions, and to review the operating details and how you will be making decisions in this simulation game. So the situation in this game is that you will be managing a firm with the help of your teammates. Multiple firms are competing with each other within an industry, and your goal is to improve your firm's performance over time relative to others. And the process that you will be following is that every week you will work with your team to make decisions during the simulation, and for these decisions you will have to take into account the feedback that you received from the previous round of the game. Now each firm is producing a product. These are set-top boxes, the kind that we have at our homes. They're also used in industries. At homes you will see them as those devices that control multiple units, such as the ones that are used to control your television, DVD player, VCR. So these set-top boxes are of two kinds for each of the firms. One is the hyperware and the other one is the metaware. So in a sense, every firm is managing two different products. They differ in terms of the kind of material that they use and the pricing that goes with it. These products are sold through multiple channels. You have the retail channel and the direct channel. The direct channel is meant for sales to builders who directly buy from you to pre-install such devices in office buildings, whereas the retail channel is the one where consumers go and buy the product that you sell. You also have multiple regions where you could sell this product. You have three different regions: United States, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Currently, the plant is located in United States, and you have a co-located distribution center with the plant. The choice of having a distribution center in Europe and Asia Pacific is part of your supply chain design decision. Now, as a part of your decision making, you will be thinking about different aspects of supply chain management. In particular, you will be taking decisions on procurement, manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, transportation, service, generate demand, and product development. I'll be going into details of each of these, how they work, but the key thing is that when you make decision in one of these modules, it impacts the decision in the other module. So you have to be cognizant of the interrelationships among these decisions. Now, this is the process-oriented view of supply chain management, where in the core of it, you source products, you manufacture them, and then you deliver them. But then you also design new products. When you extend it in a more holistic setting, you consider the aspect of development chain as a part of supply chain management. So design is an integral part of how you manage your supply chains. Similarly, the generate demand, the marketing and sales, the pricing activity also falls within the supply chain management, since pricing is one of the drivers for supply chain. So we have to manage our supply chain by considering all these different facets of supply chain management. And further, in this simulation game, you also can manage the level of returns or environmentally conscious processes that you have. So the focus in a given links decision event is to take decisions on all these different modules as shown in this slide. During the first month, when you start the simulation game, you will take decisions only on procurement, manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, and transportation. You will not be taking decisions on generate demand, service, and product development. The reason for this is to ensure that we keep it simple in the beginning to get a hang for what the simulation game is all about. Once you have completed the first round decision and you receive your results within half an hour via email, then you will be allowed to take decisions on generate demand and service. So this is the addition that you get after the first month decisions. Remember that you still do not take decisions on product development. You're gradually increasing the complexity within the game. So for the second month, you take decisions on procurement, manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, transportation, generate demand, and service. And once you receive the results for the second month, now you're ready to include the product development decisions as well. So the third month decisions that you will be making could include all of these modules. Having said that, given that you have options to include generate demand, service, and product development, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to introduce them. You could choose to continue the business by focusing on just the regular core business processes, that is procurement, manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, and transportation. Or you could try to gain some competitive edge by introducing some more complexity, such as that of generate demand, i.e. pricing, or product development. The choice is yours. Now about your industry, as I was telling you, the firms are competing in the same set-top box industry. The product looks something like this. Now all firms are in identical position when the simulation game begins. In some way, there is an automated simulation that was happening for the first 3 months, such that the results of all the firms are not statistically different from each other. For all practical purposes, they are identical. So you will be receiving a company which is identical to all other companies, and you also get the first 3 months of statistics associated with the company. This facilitates evaluation of all firms, because the key is how the firms took this company and brought it to a different level over the course of next few rounds of simulation game when they are actively competing with each other. So in the process view of links, this is how it works. I talked about the links inputs, where you will be taking decisions on product development, procurement, manufacturing, distribution, transportation, service, generate demand, forecasting, information technology, research studies. Now, every round you get outputs, that is your result, which could be categorized into three kinds. The results could be firm-wide, where you know how your firm's revenues are, profits are, market share, return on assets, return on investments. You also have information in your results about how your products are faring within that industry. In particular, you know what the revenues, margins, profits, volume, market share, and other aspects of individual products for each region and each channel are. Okay, you have two products, hyperware and metaware. So you know whether hyperware is doing well, which region it's doing well, which region it's not doing well, which channel it's doing well, which channel it's not doing well. The same is true for metaware as well. And you also get information about operational efficiencies. For example, you know how well your forecasting accuracy is, how well your inventory turnovers are, fill rates, unplanned production, controllables, the costs that could be controlled, transportation, costs as a percentage of revenues. Now, it's important to note that the operational performance, firm-wide performance, and product-specific performance are all interrelated with each other. So most of the time, if you're managing your firm well, you will find a positive result for all these different components. It could so happen that one or two of these may not necessarily be the best in the industry, but as long as you are maintaining the overall firm performance at the highest possible level, you should be fine. So you have to keep that in mind with respect to what the trade-offs that you have chosen as a part of your overall strategic intent. So it's an iterative cycle where every round you analyze the financial, operating, and market performance because you get those results. Now, based on the analysis and in concert with your team members, you will make new decisions every round. And then once you have taken those decisions, you implement them. When I say you implement them, all you have to do is put some numbers into certain worksheets on the website. Now, as long as you have implemented them on time, before the deadline, it will be going into the database. And then all these inputs from all firms within the industry are considered to evaluate what exactly your firm should be performing as in the next round. So then your objective would be when your results come for the next round to evaluate or compare your plan to results. You had a certain plan, your results came out a certain way. Are they in line with each other? Do you need some corrective action? Did you miss out on something? Those are the things that you should be doing as a part of your evaluation. And now, since it's an iterative process, you will go through this loop for as many rounds as we have for the entire simulation game. Now, your overall performance evaluation is based on the multi-factor scoring system, which the manual describes in detail. In essence, you have a certain point associated with each of your performance metrics. And every round you're getting a certain score a composite score which could be anywhere between 70 to 100. And what counts is the score that you garner in the end of the simulation game, because it's cumulative. So it is possible that in the beginning you may not be getting a very good score because you have strategically changed the direction of the firm, you have set up new distribution centers and things like that, which costs money, and therefore some of the performance metrics would have come down. But if it is well executed over the next several rounds, you expect to recuperate that, and therefore you expect that the cumulative performance should go up. So the overall performance evaluation will be based on that composite score which your firm managed to get in the end of the simulation game. You would like to take into consideration the individual scores that each of these performance metrics account for by looking into the links manual. Some of these measures carry more weightage than the others. So clearly you need to be focusing more on some of those which are more important. Some suggestions with regards to how you should go about working on the simulation game. As a first step, you should discuss personal backgrounds, goals, expectations, learning objectives with your teammates, as well as you need to understand how the team can support each other's learning objectives. What can everybody bring to the table? You need to see both the broad strategic issues and trends within the simulation game, that is the firm-wide performance measures, as well as the trees, which is the financial, operating, marketing details, more in the trenches. And these has to happen simultaneously. So if you could manage both of them together, you should be able to manage the firm very well. You should review your firm's financial and operating performance every round. Look for what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, how can you maintain those strengths, how can you eliminate those weaknesses. You should track your product level performance, your channel level performance, your region level performance. It could be the sales performance, it could be profit performance. The sales would specifically be very useful for forecasting purposes. Where are you growing? Which regions are you growing? Is it worth maintaining all the regions? Which channels are you growing? Why are you not growing in those channels that you see are in a declining trend? Can something be done about it? You should review and assess your inventory pipeline status. Even though you might have forecasted certain sales figure, it's likely that you might not have the necessary inventory, and therefore you might have lost sales in that particular round. So ensure that you have sufficient procurement inventories as well as finished goods inventories based on your plans. You should develop and prioritize an issue list and then work it from the top down. You have to prioritize what you need to do first to maintain and grow the firm, what next, and so on and so forth. And I would suggest that in the beginning, you should not divide the responsibilities among teammates. In the beginning, it's best to consider this as a case discussion among the teammates, where everybody contributes on all facets of supply chain management. But once you have completed the first 2 rounds of simulation game, I would suggest some kind of division of responsibilities. Someone can take up the responsibility of forecasting. Someone can take up the responsibility of manufacturing and procurement. and so on and so forth. But remember that since these decisions are interrelated, you still need to be aware of what each other is doing, why someone is taking a certain kind of a decision. So you have to discuss this with each other, but the final responsibility could reside with one of you on a certain functional domain or a modular domain. The simulation website looks something like this. It's an internet-based simulation, so you don't have to download any software. We will be discussing this website in a separate presentation. So overall, your planning process would look something like this. You would analyze the market, financial, operational capabilities and constraints, and then you will craft your product development, generate demand, and service programs as your first step. Remember that product development, generate demand, and service is something that you do after first round, especially the generate demand and service, and after 2 rounds for the product development. So the first 2 steps that you see here are actually relevant after a certain time lag, after the simulation has already begun, and you can choose not to do them if you want to focus on the regular sourcing, manufacturing, distribution and transportation decisions only. So you craft your programs, and then you also forecast what competitors' programs might be. Now clearly the forecasting of competitors' programs could be facilitated if you use the information that can be available through research studies. In the manual you'll see some description about what kind of research studies can be bought. They cost you money, but they could be useful if they are used effectively. As a third step, you forecast your sales that are conditional on 1 and 2. Because if you are engaging in product development, if you're engaging in generate demand decisions, i.e. pricing, your forecast should change accordingly. Step 4 is to formulate distribution and transportation plans. What exactly you intend to do with regards to your inventories and the movement of these inventories. Step 5, formulate your manufacturing plan. How many units to be made in a given month and of what kind. You formulate your procurement and sourcing plans, because if you have to manufacture certain units, you ought to have the required inventories for that. And finally, you implement this SCM plan, the supply chain management plan that you have created for yourself on the website. As I said, the implementation is nothing but putting the numbers into specific worksheets. And as step 8, you monitor and evaluate supply chain management implementation. So you look at your results and evaluate how you performed with respect to the plans. Now, overall, you're responsible for your firm's performance. I will act as a coach. I can provide you some directions. I can help you to some extent, but I can never make decisions for your firm, because that would fail the whole purpose of the simulation game, a competitive nature of this game. As a part of the simulation game, I will provide a mid-simulation feedback to provide you an idea of where your firm stands with respect to the industry on different performance measures. But other than that, my responses will be mostly with respect to a broad strategic direction that you should be taking. Most of the technical aspects that you would look for are already there in the manual, so you need to read and reread the manual during the whole course of your simulation game. You have to also remember that the decisions need to be submitted on time. Every time you submit your decisions in a given month, you get a $300,000 bonus if it was submitted on time. If you miss the deadline, that bonus will not be there in your results. So you want to take advantage of that and ensure that you submit it on time. And that's where I end this presentation, and I'll discuss few other details in the next presentation. Thank you.